Well, good afternoon,
Good
Steve.
afternoon, Derek.
It's nice to be here in Uganda with you again.
Nice to receive you and be with you.
Well, Steve, you know we're here to make an assessment on the work that's been done so far and what we need to do to get to the future. But before we go there, can we just ask a few questions in how it all started in the first place?
First, I want to thank you very much for making this journey and to be part of this dream and this vision, where our dream is to give hope to the disadvantaged children within our community in Lumpewe and indeed other areas Uganda, but basically now in Lumpewe, where we are having a primary school from year 1 or kindergarten to primary 7. Around 1997, I had just come back from the UK. We had a mission trip in Kiwoko where we had a crusade. Crusade not as we are doing today, but smaller version. Started a church in the near village called Kamuli. Then from there, the church relocated to its new location now. And after being there a couple of months, starting with the Sunday school, there was a need to give education to the children of the community. This was a time when the place was recovering from the war, which our President Museveni led. And the history of this area is called the Luwelo Triangle, and it was the epic, if that's the right word, or the center of that war. There was a lot of destruction, a lot of death. Many lost their lives, wealth, and everything. So we came in when poverty, destruction was at the highest level. Through the church, we had a Sunday school, and through a Sunday school, we started this school with 16 kids from the Sunday school and the community. We had no classes then. We had a tree as part of our classroom. Then from that founding class, we had a second class under a tree, and then we had another class still under a tree, and fourth class still under a tree. So at one point we had 4 classes under 4 trees. Then by the grace of God, we managed to put up our first structure. It was iron sheets on top, but leads and wattle and mud, 4 classes. And then that was a very big achievement. Then with the time, we had another block, which is on the right as you come into our campus. And that was step forward. Then through the help and assistance of our friends from the UK, we had this new classroom block called named the Daudi block. 5 classes, big sizes. Actually could be the best classroom block in the area. And we managed to acquire some land bits here and there from willing sellers. Yeah, that's the history.
When I first came out, Steve, maybe 7 years ago, there was a big celebration taking place, and that was because the school had achieved a certain status, hadn't it, with the education department. Can you just describe, how far the school's come from when we used to meet under the tree to where we are now and where we are then?
From under a tree to be recognized by the Ministry of Education through the Ministry of Department of Education as one of the leading schools in education, offering education with sound teaching. That was worth celebration, because 16 years when we started, very few people gave us a chance that we shall make it. A few Years later, I remember during that time, we even had some former students who had come back and to see these former students, nobody given a chance that there will be something through the efforts of the school. Now they're making their contribution to the growth of the nation.
Yeah.
So there was a reason to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask you Ian, a question? I mean, you just said 7 years ago when you first came out here. Can you just say to the people what your first impressions were and how it impacted upon you that now 7 years later, not only are you still supporting, but your desire to see it improve and grow is even getting greater as the time goes by?
Yeah. Well, when I first came out 7 years ago, I came out with a little bit of fear and trepidation, not knowing what to expect. You know, the church was still a timber frame church with a tin roof. There was two classroom blocks that were built, but you know, it needed investment and it needed to be taken forward. I was part of a team and supportive to that team, but not necessarily instrumental in doing anything. And I knew very early on that my heart was in Uganda. After I met a Ugandan pastor in England who stayed at my house, maybe 14 years ago. And he planted something in my heart, and I didn't know I was going to be meeting this Steve Masusi and being involved with the school. But now, having been given that opportunity to take forward the school into the next decade, you know, in terms of understanding what we believe that God's vision is for the church and for the school, is just incredible. And to be given that responsibility with yourself, Derek, to take it forward, is what I believe is why I first got involved in Uganda those many years ago.
Yeah, thank you. Can you just explain what it is we now have in the sense of buildings, teachers and children, and how you feel that's actually impacting upon the community locally and even further afield?
Yeah, sure, definitely. If you did a mini survey within the community, you find that yes, 80, not even 100% of the people within the community, they will favorably say it has had an impact on the community, because it is a school that has managed to give affordable, sometimes free education to the kids of the community, and some of these kids have gone on to achieve, not big on the bigger stage, but to achieve something out of their lives. Probably kids who would be assumed or presumed to be failures, could be drunkards, could be, you know, when you're in the village, you're in their poverty. Many times when you hit a dead end, the option is alcoholism, drugs, to live a life of despair. But here and there you find people in Kampala, in Luwelo, who say, I thank God I was given a chance to study. I was given a chance to go to that school. Yes, it has impacted the people within the community and even beyond.
Derek, do you mind if I ask you a question? You came out here back in October last year,
Yes.
and I asked you, what impact did it have on you? How did you feel when you arrived here?
Yes, I do recall. I mean, that was almost the first thing you said to me having arrived, and I'd just walked around the grounds a little bit. How do you feel? And at the time, I felt wasn't really any great impression at all, other than that it just seemed so natural to me. That was possibly to do with the fact my background of being around different places and different types of environment anyway. But I do recall, as we was driving up from Kampala, seeing people at the roadside with a wooden mould making bricks. And that reminded me of the days when I was a child. My father worked as a labourer in a brick factory, and he one day took me and my brother on a tour around the factory, and I could remember the processes of emptying the clay out of the coal wagons into the big vat where it's all sorted and graded, and then how it processes through the machinery and comes out a nice oblong, ready to cut snake of concrete, and then straight into a kiln and fired. And my recollection is that it is so simple technology that it could be replicated here quite easily, and it's not something that you need any great knowledge for. The knowledge required could be easily taught and passed on to people, but it would be increase the brick production. Well, at that time I had no vision for what we see now at the school. But as we've realised now, as we're coming back, actually, that is a process that we could incorporate in where we want to take the school. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but it was from then I saw, as we progressed doing the work in that trip, that generally it was starting to sing to me, this is where God's calling me to. And even when I went back home to England, I went to a family wedding and one of my nephews said, are you going back? And I didn't really want to answer the question because I hadn't really discussed it with my wife, who was standing at the side of me. And he just looked at me and said, you're going back. So, but yes, I'm glad to be back. I know that God has given me an opportunity to use skills I've gained over a lifetime. But at the same time, He's also challenging me to do things I've never done before. And we have to remember that it's out of our weakness that His power is shown. So yes, He gives us skills and abilities to help people, to bring them along, to help them, encourage them, and improve the situations they're in. But we always have to remember that it is through Him that we do it all. And I just thank God for that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, I could go on all day. I know I don't have time for that.
But the thing that astounds me and amazes me, and it shouldn't really, is how the Lord has given us three all the same vision separately. Yeah. Steve got his vision. How many years ago was yours?
That was 1989.
1989.
That's close to 27 years or more.
I actually got mine 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep, and my vision sort of came to light. I mean, I think the BrickX story is part of that. But then with Dave Dowdy, the person who the education block is named after, who's done a lot of work here, and I think we really have to remember that he's done sterling work and just give him an honour for that. He was sharing the vision with his vision with me, and as he was sharing that, it was so resounded deep in me. I thought, yes, that's exactly what it needs to be. So in a sense, I feel I've actually taken the vision that David has forward, but I have ownership of that vision. It's not something I'm just taking out of duty. It's a vision I believe God has given me ownership of, and when we shared individually as couples what we saw when I met Steve in my home, and then we met with you, and then we shared, and we kind of said, well, God, this is amazing. There was not a difference between.
It can't be by coincidence.
No, absolutely not. And I believe, the fact that we've met this week to just run through what we believe is the master plan, the blueprint for what God is calling us to do, and we all are agreeing about it. It is God working through us, and I just believe that He's called us three to take that forward for the next 5-10 years. That's and then true. What's beyond, we don't know, but we trust Him.
Yeah.